Dub Bears live from the Bayside Bunker. It's another edition of Bettin and Boozin here on the HHH Racing Podcast. I'm your host, Kyle Roscoe, and we have a very fun episode for you guys tonight. But of course, before we get started, I want to wish a Merry Christmas and a Happy Holidays to everybody out there, no matter what you celebrate. Obviously, Christmas is coming up here in 3 days when this is being recorded on, or I guess live streamed, Monday, 12/22. So whatever you guys celebrate, happy holidays and Merry Christmas to everybody out there, as this show will cover the Late Pick5 at Fairgrounds. After all of the holiday festivities end, of course, we are going to be doing a little bit of gambling. In Fairgrounds, this card is on 12/27. Welcome in, everyone. Thank you guys all so much for joining the show. I greatly appreciate it. If you guys are brand new to the podcast or you find yourself coming back on the regular and you aren't subscribed, why not? You're already coming back anyway. Please go down below the video player, hit the like button, and hit the subscribe button. We would greatly appreciate it, because not only is it the best and freest way to help out our channel, but it also pushes these videos and others when you like these videos out into YouTube's algorithm to hopefully bring more horse players to the HHH Racing Podcast. And of course, for that, we thank you. You can see scrolling on the bottom side of the screen right now, you see our normal schedule every single week here on the podcast. You have every single Tuesday at 9:30 p.m. Eastern with Pacific Horseplayers covering West Coast racing with Noah, Ryan, and Jackson. Normally, Bettin and Boozin is every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern. Of course, we're here on a Monday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern, but every Wednesday, normally we are there. The leaderboard, I'll talk about that in a second, is every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern. Of course, you have Picks and Ponies every single Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern. And normally every single Saturday, we have a live show covering live racing with Weekend Warriors. That time is always switched around depending on what show or depending on what races we cover. Of course, to know exactly when it is, you're going to have to subscribe and hit that notification bell if that interests you. Of course, you can listen to every single podcast we post here on YouTube, also in audio form, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Anchors, where you can find those. Please go rate, review, and subscribe over there. TikTok and Instagram for more short-form content over there at Bettin and Boozin Podcast. So please follow us over there if that interests you. Team HHH is now live, and that is our yearly subscription. We have tip sheets that go out through basically 52 weeks out of the year, but also a bunch of extras, including Breeders' Cup, Kentucky Derby, full Keeneland Spring Meets, Keeneland Fall Meets for the weekends on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, full Saratoga meet coverage throughout the summer every Friday, Saturday, Sunday, as well as, again, big marquee days. And Davey Lane, who you guys watch the podcast, you guys will be very familiar with. He covers international racing, and we'll send that to you guys whenever there are big races overseas. It's a ton of content. And if that interests you at all, go to hhhracingpodcast.com. The link is also in the description below. But for those that just like our normal Power Picks tip sheet that goes out to you every Saturday, that is all done through Patreon, patreon.com/HHH Racing Podcast. Link is also in the description below. We've been going for almost 5 years now that we've been doing this, and we're still well in the positive. I believe I haven't changed that pick number. It might be over 1,000 picks. If not, it's very, very close. So over 1,000 picks in, we are still well in the positive. Again, that's all done through Patreon, patreon.com/HHH Racing Podcast. We have three we're very, very excited to bring these guys to you. One of them you already know. That is, of course, the leaderboard sponsored by TwinSpires. And I'm going to go ahead and put it on the screen right now. It's a show that's normally every single Wednesday night at 7 p.m. Eastern. It covers live money contest strategy, whether you're brand new to the contest space or a seasoned contest player. This show is a very good tool to use. They go over the strategy for the previous week, how the winner ended up winning, which a couple of the boys that have been on that show as of recently have done pretty well, I think, in those contests. So including Matt Miller, Noah Maher, Jackson Muniz, and of course the boss man himself, Howard Kravitz. If you guys are interested in that at all, again, that's 7 p.m. every single Wednesday, brought to you by our good friends over at TwinSpires. They also preview the next week's contests as well to get you guys engaged and looking forward to those contests coming up next weekend. Of course, with the holiday, we have all moved up, but Picks and Ponies will move to Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern. It's live coverage from Gulfstream Park. Howard is going to be reporting live from Gulfstream, and that's an old banner that I didn't change. I apologize. I'll take that as a host failed to start off the show. There's always one of them. So Howard Reporting will report live from Gulfstream Park for Picks and Ponies. Again, Saturday, 11 a.m. Eastern time. He's going to have a ton of information for you guys about that Gulfstream Park card. So again, if that interests you, please subscribe. First of all, hit the notification bell so you'll get notified when they do go live on Saturday. But the biggest thing that we wanted to announce tonight, guys, is we have a brand new show coming to you guys. It is Wire to Wire is the show's name, and it's brought to you by the new sponsors of the podcast. Well, not new exactly, because Santa Anita has been sponsoring us for a long time. They've been great fans of the podcast, and for those that have been around, you know about Great Race Plays. However, that is being changed now to Wire, and it's going to cover the coast-to-coast Pick 5 every single week. And 1 second, I have to change around some stuff. Of course, we have, oh, hey, guys. The changes because I have to change the brand because our video is on here, but talking about the Coast to Coast Pick 5 from our good friends over at First.
The first Coast to Coast Pick 5.
An attractive Pick 5 sequence featuring Gulfstream Park.
And Santa Anita Park. Player friendly 15% takeout.
A $1 minimum. Big pool.
Huge payout. First Coast to Coast Pick 5 every Saturday and Sunday.
We are very excited about our new show, Wire to Wire. And again, if that interests you, which I know it does, please head on over to the show, which starts tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Eastern. We live stream it just like this, and we're going to cover the Coast to Coast Pick 5. Again, 7 p.m. Eastern starts that day. And of course, stay tuned for the normal day that will be coming up shortly. I know that was a lot of ads. I do apologize, but of course, that means the podcast is growing, and that's obviously a great thing for not only us, but all of you as well, because it means more podcasts. But to cover this Late Pick 5 at Fairgrounds, plus the Race 5 stake, I need to bring on my co-hosts, which of course starts with the great man that we just added to the podcast a couple weeks ago from the Philadelphia area. That is Andrew Rosinski, and a familiar face that you guys will know. I've already mentioned his name. Pat is out for the night. However, we got the second close best, of course. Tournament player aficionado now, Jackson Muniz. Jackson, thanks for joining us tonight.
Yeah, what's up? It's been a while since I've done a show with you, Kyle. I'm excited for it, and excited to meet Andrew for the first time. Fellow Eagle fan. We've had a couple good weeks, the last couple of weeks after a rough little stretch there. But yeah, excited to talk Fairgrounds with you guys.
This is the Alliance screen right now. This is the Bears Eagle Alliance on the screen right now. Andrew, obviously, hope all is well with you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, everything's good on this end.
Hopefully, we can get some winners to all of our viewers in the chat. Katie, of course, was here. Let's bet on a Monday. Every day is a good day to bet, Katie. So thanks so much for joining the show. Greatly appreciate it. Jim Pilar's, which hopefully I can bring out some merch with that coming soon. That's a little sneak peek of what I'm working on. Jim Pilar's, hello, B&B crew. Just wanted to wish you guys all of the greatest and happiness this holiday season. Jim, thanks so much, man. Really, you've been one of the longest supporters of us throughout this journey. So, Jim, we greatly appreciate it. And happy holidays to your family as well. Terry Frank, of course, another one of our longest subscribers. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays to you as well, Terry. Greatly appreciate it. And look at this. How about the shortstop? It's no more Garcia Parra, guys. But let's get it. I assume this is all race talk, not 20 minutes complaining about a very normal race start. We don't do a whole lot of complaining on here unless it's probably a joke directed at one of us that will then continue to, and then Packers fan though. Wait, we might start complaining for 20 minutes about a normal race start then if you're a Packers fan. But no, that was. Look, for me, obviously, that was a very, very fun game. I just can't believe how they even ended up winning that game, let alone beating the Packers, which, of course, is a cherry on top of that. But racing downwind, of course, is here. Boozin and never losing. You know the motto, my friend. Thanks so much for joining the show, Dave. Greatly appreciate it. Marco Lou, drink and bet responsibly this time of year. Of course, that is the biggest thing to happen. But holiday weekend, we like to splurge a little bit more. Guys, let's get into all right. No more Garcia Parra. I'll give Jackson this before I continue to glaze him for the rest of the show. Noah, Jackson, and Matt, all winners on the leaderboard. You guys know your stuff. Hopefully Jackson can spread his prowess over us as well, considering that both of my best bets scratched last week that I gave out on the show. So that never helps. The
Hey, mine ran
race,
second, so
well, it's welcome to the club, my friend.
Right.
As the man on below you would tell, I pick a lot of very good thirds. Especially at Keeneland for that matter.
It was legit strategy at Keeneland. Just not even handicap. Whatever horse Kyle picked, just key him in second. It was like 90% of one point during the meet.
It was.
I have never seen anything like that.
It was like 9 in a row too. It was the craziest.
At least.
It was the craziest thing. And I'm laughing about it now, of course, but during the time a bridge. Anyway, let's move on to talk about the races, guys. Race 5 is the first race we're going to talk about. It's outside of Late Pick 5, but it is the first stake race on the card. So I wanted to bring that up. We're going to bring up the Equibase, of course, to talk about it and show the morning lines that we so graciously have on a Monday. I know it's a crazy concept for this show and for the horse racing world at that matter, but morning lines are in for Saturday's races. The first race we're going to talk about is the Wood Chopper Stakes. Mile and a 16th on the turf for 3-year-olds only, draws a field of 7 with some familiar faces that you would know in here, including the number 5 Flying Mohawk. The morning line favorite, though, is the number 6 Montador, Brian Hernandez, Mike Stidham, 2-1 on the morning line. Your second and third choices are shared between the number 3 Juris Doctor Concepcion rides and Jojo Go Jose Ortiz takes the mount there. And of course, the other brand new sponsor of the podcast, guys, it's fantastic. DRF is now a brand new sponsor of the HHH Racing Podcast. So go to DRF, guys. You guys, they have not been a sponsor for the longest time, but you know how much we love DRF around here. The Formulator PPs, the Timeform US PPs. Like I said, I've been glazing them for 3 years now without sponsorship. So the fact that I get to do it now with a sponsorship makes it really even sweeter for us, because how much we use not only Formulator, but also the Timeform US pace projector and everything that comes with that. Guys, moving, you can see our picks on the screen right now. We're actually in a field of 7. We're all going with 3 different horses. I'm going with the 3. Andrew's going with the 4, and Jackson is going with the 5. So in Flying Mohawk, I actually like that pick, Jackson, which we'll talk about here in a second. Andrew, I'll let you go first because you're talking about one of the lower morning line favorites in here. Jose Ortiz hops on. Obviously, it looks like he can do nothing wrong at Fairgrounds right now. I think he's winning over 30% at this point, but you could talk about what you like most about Jojo Go.
There's a couple things I like. I think that this horse wants to go the distance. Early in his career, he was sprinting at Fairgrounds, and he did okay. But he definitely wants to go 2 turns. And I don't know what happened after the Ellis Park meet, but when they gave this horse some time off when he came back at Keeneland, this horse was a little bit better. It was different. It was more focused. And then now you go from Sophie Doyle, who I think is a pretty good rider, but to Jose Ortiz, who's 30% win. I think horse is like ready to peak. And I think the spot is good. I think everything screams Jojo's ready to go. The pace pressure sets up well for it too. And there's a couple hangers in here and a couple horses in weak spots and comeback spots. And I think this one's the one to beat here.
And we tick off the Howard quota for the one teacher joke during the episode. So I greatly appreciate Andrew getting that out early. Yes, we are all Sophie Doyle, Arlington legend Sophie Doyle stands around here. I really do like the way she rides, but going with obviously paired by her top as well, this horse should be sitting on go. Again, no pun intended for me, obviously pun intended for Andrew. Jackson, you also have this horse in there somewhere. I actually don't have this horse anywhere, but again, with the paired by her top, should be sitting a Tactical Trip, pretty much has every chance to be able to win this race. That is pretty wide open.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with everything you guys mentioned about this horse. Improving, paired with the by her tops. Supposed to move forward in this start, and he did the same thing, 3 and 4 back, essentially. I mean, 73, 74 were the best at the time. Jumped up 10 points. I mean, he jumps up 10 points on Saturday, he's supposed to win this thing for fun. If he jumps up 5 points, he's supposed to win this thing. So, and he does have the pace advantage in the spot as well.
Yeah, right. And obviously I can show those Timeform USPPs for the pace projector. No speed is what they project, which you don't see that denotation very often. Jackson, you are going with a number 5 Flying Mohawk, who is realistically, and Whitworth Beckman talked about this, how much this horse is really just meant for the turf. They ended up going to the Derby anyway, obviously with the second in the Jeff Ruby Stakes at Turfway. Horse made a comeback effort in the Commonwealth, did basically nothing. He paid workout, if you will, if you can call it that. But lots of changes, first-time Lasix, blinkers off, a whole ton of stuff that could change this horse's campaign around second off the layoff.
Yeah, this race, to be honest, I don't have any arguments against the top three in here, and I just felt like he's going to be a bit of a better price than those. And he does have races to run back to early as a 3-year-old that put him right there with everyone else in this race. So that's the hope with him. I agree with you. He had no excuse last time. He just didn't run. He was horrible. Yep. And obviously the Derby, you just chuck it out. It was the Derby. He shouldn't have never been in that race. The hope is, he needed that start. Lasix going on, blinkers going back off, which, we'll see about that. It does mean they're kind of just throwing everything at him and hoping something works. But I think with him being the price it's going to be against this group, you're just hoping he finds that form again. Because if he runs back those races as an early 3-year-old, even a late season 2-year-old, those races put him right here against this group, what they're running right now. So I want to give him a shot at this price.
No, absolutely. And I agree with you. I almost had this horse above. I honestly could switch around a lot of these horses in here. It's just one of those things that the blinkers off also, like you said, it almost seems like they're just kind of throwing stuff at this horse because realistically, all of this horse's good races have come with blinkers. The only other time he hasn't run with blinkers is the first maiden start and the Kentucky Derby of all races to make an equipment change in.
And arguably
the
the two worst races too.
Right. So obviously first time out, you can excuse some stuff. Obviously running behind Simulate, States Rights, a bunch of nice horses in those Saratoga maiden races as there always are. But Flying Mohawk, definitely interesting and definitely worth a look at what's going to be a better price than a lot of the ones we're going to talk about here. Juris Doctor is the horse that I went with on top, guys, and I really do like this horse in this spot. He's been favored every single time. I don't know if you're going to get favoritism in this race because of one horse we're going to talk about here. And a second, Pin Oak, Axel Concepcion. Stidham's been running some really nice runners out at the fairgrounds so far this year. Jumped up 8 points last time. However, he ran an 81 on debut. So it's not necessarily jumping up almost a one-run horse, if you will. Warfront on the dam side. This horse wants to go long on the turf for days. If he improves off that last race, realistically in the first competition outside of the Northeast, he ran very, very well into a blue-coated pace figure that you can see on the bottom. If they go a little bit quicker, or he sits the trip that he did in the first 3 starts a lot closer to the pace, I think Juris Doctor is very, very likely winner in this spot, especially if he takes a jump up off that 82, which again, as he continues to progress through his 3-year-old year, should continue to, mature, get a little bit better throughout the entire year. And obviously Andrew Jackson, you guys have this Andrew Jackson. That's actually kind of funny. You guys both have this horse in second. So you do believe a little bit in this one.
Yeah. This horse seems to be sitting on that effort. And I think that the blinkers are going to help. This horse has all the potential in the world, hasn't missed the exacta yet, but most of these races, this horse is like hanging at the end, whether it's drifting out or it's, it's finding some kind of way to lose. And I think that's because of the lack of blinkers. So I want to give it a little test run. That's why I didn't put it on top. But originally, this horse at first glance was my top pick. I just think that I don't know how the blinkers are going to work, but everything, the connections, the ownership, the price tag on this horse, the performances alone, this horse should be there at the end.
Right. And that's my thing of, if I'm not going to get favoritism in this race on this horse, if he wins with the blinkers on, you probably won't, depending on obviously what spot he goes to next, you will not get whatever odds he's going to be come post time on Saturday. So that's why I ended up going with him on top. But again, what you shared about not having him on top, you want to give him a test run, can definitely see that there's two sides to the sword, obviously. Jackson, I want to talk about Montador basically because you don't have this horse anywhere, and this horse is the 2-1 morning line favorite. So obviously, Andrew, feel free to jump in if there's something that you want to build off of. This one, I think one thing people are going to gravitate towards, one, obviously all the mid-80s buyers that this horse has run, but also the tactfulness of the trip that this horse should have in theory. So what, going into your decision, obviously Brian Hernandez hops aboard too, who runs really well at the fairgrounds. What was your thinking about leaving this horse out of the top 3?
It was only the price. The price was the only reason. If he's favored here, I don't want him. I don't think he's any better than anyone else of the
Right.
main contenders in this spot. I also won't be surprised, though, if he doesn't go off favored. I could see a lot of people going to the 3. So if he drifts up to 3-1, then sure, I'll maybe pivot to him. I don't know, because last time he didn't get a great trip and he ran okay. The race 2 back, you could not have drawn up a better ride if you tried. I mean, it was just he was the winner every step of the way that race at Churchill Downs. He was never losing. And even the race 3 back at Keeneland, I thought he got a really good trip in there too. So, he's versatile. He can make some noise in there. Just at that price, that was a little against.
Yeah, which I completely agree with. And obviously, price is the deciding factor in this game. So you don't want to go with one. There's no reason why you should include him. Maybe pick 5. Obviously, this is the end of the late pick 5. Include him defensively on a couple of tickets. But if you're against him, there's no reason to take the extra money hit and keep him in your tickets. In the wood chopper, I'm going 3-6-5. Andrew's going 4-3-6. Jackson's going 5-3-4. Guys, let's move on to the late pick 5. That starts, of course, in race number 7. It's an allowance 1 mile on the turf for 3-year-olds and up, which have never, an N1X basically, with 12 horses, 2 also eligibles in here. I'm going to show the field on the Equibase. It is a very, very lukewarm morning line favoritism to the number 10, Western Run, Paco Lopez, Joe Sharp, 4-1 on the morning line. Second choice on number 1, Contribution, Axel Concepcion hops on for Brad Cox, 9-2. And your third choice is shared between 2 horses, the number 5, Bouzin, and the number 7, Lucky Mischief. Bringing our top picks. Oh, yes, Andrew, very based on the Cherie DeVoe love. Jackson, you're going with the number 7, Lucky Mischief, the aforementioned third choice. Obviously, it hurts my heart to not see Jackson have the Cherie in there, which makes me feel a little bit of aversion to this. But of course, Jackson, the number 7 horse, Lucky Mischief for Dallas Stewart, really hasn't done anything wrong necessarily on numbers. Just a matter of trying to find that one spot that this horse can have a little bit softer of a trip. And this will be second off the layoff as well.
Yeah, I don't know what you guys thought. I thought this race, though, was by far the toughest of the 6 that we're going to talk about. I mean, you could really go in any direction. So, I felt like the key to this race was the pace. It just seemed like there's a good chance there's a lot of it. And I do think he's going to be that mid-pack type, not too far out of it, but also beginning to jump on the deep, deep closers in here. And I thought the comeback race off the long break was pretty good. I know the pace wasn't sizzling, but it wasn't really slow either. He was always close, and he ran well in that spot to finish third. He was right behind Juris Doctor, we just talked about. He also beat the Cherie horse in that race pretty handily. I mean, he beat a horse by 2 lengths on the grass. That's a pretty decisive margin, I would call it. So I think he's going to get a good trip in here. Second start off the bench, he's supposed to move forward, and he clearly runs well at this racetrack. I know he hasn't won, but you look what he's been facing in those races here. He's done well. So I like him quite a bit in this spot. I think 6-1 is more than fair.
Yeah, and obviously, Andrew, you have this horse in second, same level of thinking, or you have a different angle?
Yeah, I really like the second off the layoff. And just honestly, all the turf races, no matter who he's running against, like they're all good horses that are all won big races. I mean, Disco Time, Jacoso, Fly Mohawk, Juris Doctor might win the stake a couple races before this one. Like this horse has the class, I think, in this field, and I don't see why not for the top 3 finish here, and if not win. I really like the second off the layoff angle, and I like the way this horse shapes up in the pace scenario.
I think second off the layoff is the key for this one. Obviously, Dallas Stewart has had a cold start to his fairgrounds meet. Obviously, he can turn it around very quickly, as we have all seen in the past. Just a matter of 77 is definitely the best buyer, and second off the layoff, he can take a step up. However, if he takes a step up in here, I mean, he's right with everybody. And 6-1 is a good price to take a shot with. It's just a matter of what trip realistically can he work out. If he works out a really tactical trip, it can easily work. Andrew, Sevion is the horse that we have in first. And one, of course, I love that you have this horse on top with me. This is a horse last time on. You can see the blue-coated pace figures. Jackson's right. They didn't go super slow by any means, but they, 22-4 to open the quarter up, but then they went 24-3 and then 24 again. So not speeding up by any means. It's going to take a little bit for this horse to get home. Closed really, really nicely at Indiana. Coming, down the 5 furlong route. Goes first time route. Doesn't necessarily have the pace to close into. In this race, you should get a little bit more pace injected.
Yeah, I like this horse also was cross-entered in the 5th race, which we
Correct.
didn't mention the horse in the 5th race, just simply because it seems like this horse is actually going to run in this race, just based off the jockey choices for DeVoe. This spot I think is a little bit more favorable for his run style. I like the blinkers on. I think this horse is sitting on a big effort. I think that last time out, it was a horrible start for this horse. He never got his footing, and then when he did close, he had to close into a slow pace. Still managed to hit 4th. Granted, that's Ben Curtis doing Ben Curtis things probably and getting this horse home at the end. But Jose Ortiz is 30%. And getting Jose Ortiz here, I think this horse is ready to go. It's a good spot. Blinkers on. Let's take a shot at 8-1.
I would love to take a shot at 8-1 with this horse, but not to mention, obviously, Jose, number one call for Cherie whenever she can get him. And that in the 5th race that we just talked about, you right, Savion is cross-entered, has Declan Cannon, who Cherie also uses down at Fairgrounds. But just with Declan on the horse and there with a lot slower pace and having Jose carded in this race with a quicker pace, I would assume that Savion goes into this spot. And if he does, I'm very interested at 8-1. This is also Rivermaid. Where's my ring? Granted, was a sprinter in her right, but has had some really nice both dirt route and turf routing experience. She's a half to cocktail moments, which was a very well meant horse for Kenny McPeak on the Kentucky Oaks Trail. Then cut back to the mile 16th, where she ended up winning 2 more races. So very interested to see how this one. Obviously, the grass is interesting, but tap it. Blinkers on can take a little bit more to develop, and this will be 3rd time out now, which I think as Cherie trains these horses up through their 3-year-old year, I think they only get better and better. She's not necessarily a very big first time out person. So as you see them race more and more, I get to be much more interested in these horses. We have a bunch of horses in common in underneath. Andrew and I both have the 1. Like I said, Jackson had the 7 on top, but Jackson got 2 others in here that I find very interesting. Adrienne DeVoe as so I guess 1 DeVoe over the other, Jackson. You have the 2 in 2nd, then the 11 Travaggio in 3rd for Danny Pish.
Yeah, I just really didn't like the favorites in this race. So after the 1 and 10, I tossed them. I don't want them at all, and I wanted some prices underneath as well. And I think Marcus Gift is a little interesting. Just a gelding that's kind of been thrown to the wolves all year, really. I mean, look at the prices he's been in some of these races. He's been 44-1, 73-1, 39-1, 51-1. I mean, nothing was expected in those races of him. So I don't really want to hold him against him. And they finally drop him to a real spot, and he wins. And like, oh, look at me. I can actually run a little bit when I'm placed realistically. And I think this is an appropriate spot for him. I don't think this is a very tough group. He's going the mile for the first time in a long time, or going the 2 turns for the first time in a long time on the grass. The only time he's done that was way back last September, and he actually ran okay in that race with a troubled trip. So I think he's got speed to be forward, blinkers going on, but he doesn't necessarily need the lead. And he's run, I mean, those last 2 buyers, aren't they kind of every bit as good as what everyone else is running in this race? Like, I don't think he's impossible in here.
Yeah, I completely agree with you as well that he's definitely not impossible in this race. And Travaggio is one of the horses closer to favoritism than, of course, some others in here. But that 80 buyer, again, puts it, granted, I know it was at Remington Park in a starter allowance condition, but still, anywhere near that 80 puts him right in contention as well.
Yeah, just one of those horses where I don't know if I trust the Remington number. If he's 5-2 with running those Remington numbers, I don't want any part of him. But at 12-1 running those Remington numbers, yeah, I'll take the chance that those are actually legit and he can run that kind of race on Saturday.
No, absolutely. And obviously Western Run is that morning line favorite. One of those horses that has run the numbers and is just going to be fed to favoritism based on 1 numbers and 2 connections. Obviously Paco aboard, Joe Sharp trains, who is always very good at fairgrounds. Off the turf last time, I don't know where that effort came from off the turf, but ran a hole in the wind last time. Not coming back to the turf. This horse is always meant for the turf. Tap It Dam, Justify as the sire. Only sold for $50,000, which I feel like is one thing that you always look at, like with that type of breeding. It's always interesting to see that the horses that go for these types of, I mean, that's a minus 5x on the, the stud fee versus the auction fee, auction price. So definitely one thing to keep in mind. I also don't think that the pace scenario is definitely the best for Western Run. So if you want to take a shot against him, I completely understand. Obviously I have him in 2nd, but I feel like that's more because I think he's just speed the speed. And if the speed does not develop like we're talking about. I think the 10's the most likely winner if that is the case. However, obviously we don't think so. Contribution, last horse we'll talk about, Andrew. Brad Cox started in Indiana, now coming to Fairgrounds, has worked lights out since. Lots of good breeding as well, but with the types of connections on here, most likely will be over bet compared to what a lot of the rest of the field.
Yeah, the only thing I have is like, is this horse want turf or not? Because the bullet workouts on the dirt scream that this horse can run on dirt, let alone, closing into that pace and debut over a dirt track with some moisture in it. Indiana Grand was slammed with rain all year, so they didn't have too many turf races and opportunities. So I think that maybe this horse was just defaultly put into a dirt main and special weight and then ran huge and was like, actually we have options now. Because $850,000 purchase, I don't think they're going to debut it on the dirt without just having to try to get a race under its belt. So I like the spot here second time out. And I think Brad Cox is one of the better trainers in the country. And so this shouldn't be a hassle for him to translate the dirt form to turf.
No, obviously Street Cry on the dam side too. This horse should be good enough for the turf. Again, this is the other edge of the sword, if you will. Looking at Formulator here, this horse sold for $850,000. However, has had one winner in 16 starts and no in the money finishes. So obviously they saw something with this horse to sell for $850,000 without really having any type of progeny under the dam side. So definitely it will be interesting to see how he runs on Saturday. But of course, resolute Brad Cox going to turf for the first time. You argue that he'd be way over bet comparatively to what he's already done. Especially, you all know how Brad, operates. Running at Indiana is most likely his bottom string that he has. So it'll be very interesting to see how that horse, one, gets bet and two, runs on Saturday.
I think the one's going to be the favorite over the 10, to be honest, when it comes to coming out the gate.
I honestly,
so.
Yeah.
He got a perfect pace setup.
Yep.
It completely collapsed, and the horse that got third is over 30. He beat nothing, and now you're going to bet him.
That's what I'm saying. It's a weird spot for that horse to debut, and then to come back in here a little bit more aggressive. I think this horse really wants turf and not dirt.
Yeah, if you're making a case from that is the case, right?
Yeah.
Turf horse that just happened to win on the dirt.
Win by $8 million over horses that should be running at Hawthorne, which again, we love Hawthorne, we do, but it's obvious when it said you sell for $850,000, you run at Indiana. That's not exactly the best.
Definitely a question mark
for the Brad Cox, especially Resolute Racing as well. Again, just a lot of question marks with the one. If he does go off favored, hopefully that'll be good for the rest of us. And we're all putting him into the winner's circle right now. So obviously you should run bet that horse. In race number 7, I'm going 9-10-1. Andrew's going 9-7-1. Jackson's going 7-11. Guys, moving on to race number 8. It's an allowance N1X going 6 furlongs on the dirt. Field of 8. Morning line favorite is another lukewarm one, being the number 3, Evan on Earth, Brian Hernandez at 7-2 on the morning line. Your second choice is the number 6, the Florida bred, Fully Volatile, for Jareth Loveberry, taking them out 4-1 on the morning line. Third choice is shared between 3 different horses, with the number 1, South Bend Tom, the number 4, Confront, and the number 7, Benji Star. Putting our picks up on the screen right now. I am going with the number 7, Benji Star. Andrew's going with the number 6, Fully Volatile. And Jackson, you are going with the number 1, South Bend Tom. All realistically in that 4-1 price range right now. Andrew, I'll let you go first. Talk about the number 6, Fully Volatile. Again, Arlington legend, Jareth Loveberry. Always love when I can cheer for him. He's a fantastic guy. Eric Heitzman's a very interesting trainer in this spot. Smaller barn, voided claim last time out. Now comes back down to Fairgrounds, which is where he's basically his home track.
Yeah, voided claims are usually races I don't like to bet like horses out of that back, but the string of bullet workouts since then, I don't know what they did, but they fixed whatever the void was caused for, in my opinion. This horse has the pace pressure to run into, can sit, can close. I just think it needs to piece it all together. I think this is the spot to do it. The workouts scream that this horse is training well and that this horse is ready to go. I love a gray horse. Who doesn't? And this race is wide open. So
no, it absolutely is wide open. Obviously shown by the morning lines. Jackson, you're going with the number 1 in here, South Bend Tom, a horse that I feel like either a lot of people will gravitate towards because of what the pace scenario looks like, or will gravitate away from. Obviously, if bobblehead Jimmy Graham, or also Arlington legend, realistically, just so many of them now out there in the streets. It's first time off a claiming level into the N1X level.
Yeah, I'll admit, this type of horse is one I'm almost always trying to beat, where he had that outside stalking trip on a super soft pace and won. I mean, those are always automatic bet against next time. And that was my mentality looking at it the first time. And then with the rest of the field, I'm like, there's not a whole lot in here. I came back this horse. It just feels like he's going to get a very similar trip in this spot. He may not be in front, but he's going to be within a length of the lead. It's not going to be very quick. And, inside at fairgrounds is not a bad place to be. Unlike most tracks, you don't really want to be drawn inside. I think a lot of horses win from the inside post at fairgrounds. So I think that's not a problem for him. I also like that he went to the bench and came back with such a strong number, and he clearly got so much better than anything he'd ever done before. And when you look at the run backs from that race, there have been 3 horses to run back. All of them have improved by at least 5 points. So, I mean, you can make a case that maybe that number is a little low. And if that number is low and it's really more like in low 80s, I mean, he's supposed to beat this field. So if you're going to give me him at 4 to 1-ish in that kind of range, I think that's more than a fair price. And I think it's probably my best opinion of this sequence that we're going to talk about. I like him quite a bit. Host fail.
I don't even know what I muted for. Obviously, like I said, we're going to talk about that when we get to best bets here later. But that is, I completely agree with you. That's always one of them that I try to beat, especially when the one number is so much higher than all the rest of the buyers this horse has ever ran before. But talking about the same type of scenario, fairgrounds on the inside. So, and Al Stall's had a fantastic start to his fairgrounds meet this year, over half in the money, 5 for 13 on the win end. And you get James Graham aboard, who can run these horses on the lead very, very well. So definitely one horse to look at. I have him in third. I'm definitely interested as well. I have the number 7 in second, Benji Star. And honestly, Jackson, this is also a horse I usually try to beat. This horse is really one number type horse coming from state bred now to this open company for the first time, which I think is why it's indicative that this horse is 9 to 2 instead of something, like 5 to 2 with the numbers that this horse has ran before, especially off the layoff. This is just one of those spots, guys, I couldn't get away from, because especially with the slow pace that's going to be appearing in this race based off of the time form US pace projector. Should Jose house back aboard? I'm just realizing I think I picked Jose for 2 out of 3 races to start this sequence, and I'm going to spoil a little bit. I think I have Jose for the next race as well, at least. So obviously 31%, that's not a bad scenario to have him in, but obviously I want to try and spread out my opinions when I can. But if he just sits right off, guys, I mean, if he runs anywhere near those numbers that he's running in state bred, he should be a very likely winner in this spot. Again, you're basing that off of a one number horse, because those 77s probably, I mean, they're not necessarily bad enough that where he can't win, but it's, it puts him right in the mix of everyone else. And some horses might have a little bit more upside. This horse is now 4 years old and hasn't run since February. Maybe needs one. The workouts though at fairgrounds have been very good. The last one in 101 and 2, 6 out of 29 is a good workout. So hopefully he is ready. And obviously Jose hops back aboard this horse. And Jose could have had, probably the pick of anyone in here. The fact that he chooses this one means to me that this horse is sitting on a big effort off that layoff. So I'm going to run with Benji Star in this race, which again, a smaller field, but another wide open one at that. We'll talk about a couple others in here. Andrew, you had that horse in second. Jackson, you have the number 8 Goldbrick in second. Brett Calhoun trains this one. Axel hops aboard again. Another one second off the layoff with an equipment change.
Yeah, another one second on the bench. Blinker's going on. He does have speed. It seems like he'll be more forward than he was last time, and he was just too far out of it behind a crawling pace. So I think the hope is they're much more aggressive with him. He's drawn outside. He can kind of just play the break and see what happens, because he does have numbers that make him a competitor in this group. He's running those high 70s, low 80 numbers pretty consistently. So I give him a shot in second.
Yeah, I mean, no, absolutely, and especially said they've been on the lead before. And honestly, I mean, this pace isn't slow. I mean, granted, he was off the lead this time, but 46-3. He's been on the lead, 49-2, 47-1. He was on the lead. So he's not necessarily fast, just running into slower paces. So blinkers on first time as well. That should help him try to stay on a little bit more in theory. So Goldbrick, in a wide open race, can definitely at least put it in the money. And I mean, this horse is facing like Risk It, Just a Touch. I mean, you can go down the line. There's some pretty nice horses in the running lines as well. Last horse we'll talk about. Actually, we'll talk about two more and then we'll move on. Jackson and Andrew, I guess. Andrew, I'll let you talk first. Jackson, you hit on whatever you want. Greg Foley trains Evan on Earth, who is the morning line favorite. 1 for 12, but 8 for 12 in the money. So might be a hard favorite to trust on top, but another one that's could be likely to be in your exactas and trifectas.
Yeah, this horse, I don't know. I don't really know what to do with it. Like, it's consistently there most of the time. A couple of the bad races you can kind of make excuses for, like the turf and a couple other races like mud and slop. Granted, this horse did win on the mud, but that was for the lowest tag it's ever been in, so it was definitely a class relief. And the horse barely held on that day and got an easy, gate to wire trip. I think this horse wants to lead, but I don't know if the horse can get there at the end. And keep that pace going. It's a tough spot, but this is the one I think that's going to be actually on the lead. I think this one's going to get the jump on the one. So, and the 4 I think is a little bit hit or miss. So I think this one might actually just inherit the lead even. And if it gets the lead and it gets easy lead, it might if there's no pace against them, who knows what this horse can do, but. I can't have this one on top, and I think this one's just more of a key underneath at a short price. Maybe try to catch some big prices on top of it.
I mean, yeah, that's kind of the way to approach it, right? This horse is also late into the 4-year-old season now. Really hasn't taken that step forward that you want to see from these horses as they progress. He's run a lot 83, 81s, but mainly in that mid 70s range, which might not even be good enough to face in this race, let alone be favorited for. Obviously, Brian Hernandez hops aboard. He probably could have taken a bunch of other ones in here, so that could be something to look forward to. However, again, trusting at a short price when a lot of others have a lot more upside than Evan on Earth, I'd be willing to look elsewhere. Last horse I'll talk about, then we'll move on, is Confront, the Brad Cox runner in here. Marcelino Pedroza Jr. rides, and Marcelino's a horse. He's not a horse. He's a person. He's a jockey that Brad uses a lot in Indiana. And he's honestly, it's very good to see him having a pretty good start to the meet down at Fairgrounds, because I think he does ride very, very well. One on this horse at Indiana. I think this horse is going to set a nice stalking trip. And if the pace scenario does heat up a little bit more, he might get a very good run, especially on a lot of the runners that are going to be closing from the back. So, but obviously with the connections, you're going to take a little bit of hit in terms of price. But if there's one horse to pick up the leaders from the back, I think Confront is the horse to do so. In race 8, I'm going 7-4-1. Andrew's going 6-7-3, 6-7 for Matt. Jackson 1-8-3. Guys, moving on to race number 9, and it's the co-feature on the card. It's the Pago Hop Stakes, or the Pago Hop Stakes. I don't know why I said that. I don't know, whatever. We're going with it. 100,000, mile and 16th on the turf, draws a field of 9. Morning line favorite all the way to the outside. Number 9, Bracelet, Concepcion Cox at 3-1. Second choice, the number 2, Hear the Queen, the other Cox runner from Marcelino Pedroza Jr., 4-1 morning line. Third choice is the number 7, Caviar Breakfast, Brian Hernandez, Kenny McPeak. Bringing up our picks on the screen right now. I'm going a little bit off the beaten path. The number 6, Unmerited Favor at 6-1. Andrew's going with the number 5, Ninth Island, so even more off the beaten path at 12-1. Jackson, we're all not going with the favorites, basically, is what I'm trying to say in here. Jackson, I'll let you go first. The number 3, Cheetah Lady for Jareth Loveberry. Again, this is one race I feel like you can find a price in here. Obviously, it's really good to see in these stakes races you can catch a price, and she's done nothing wrong in her previous starts. Obviously, a little bit step up here, but paired by her tops, could be a time to take her.
Yeah, with this race, I'm actually operating under the assumption that Bracelet is going to come down from 3-1. I think she could be more like 9-5. If she's 3-1, I will bet Bracelet on top. I just don't see how that's going to happen here. So I'm going to assume that will happen. Cheetah Lady will be my top pick in here because, as you said, she's kind of done nothing wrong as of late. She's going the right way. I love that last race. I just love when horses are able to not only run well but win, despite having things go against them. I mean, that was not a fast pace last time, and she still was able to get the job done against that group. And now she finds herself in a race that has plenty of speed. It sure seems like the 2 kind of has to go, the 4 has to go, the 5 has to go. Bracelet's going to be close. Multiplication is going to be close coming from sprints. She's always shown route speed. I just expect this pace to be pretty hot, and I think she has the best kick in the field. And, if she's going to be 8-1 against this group where she's running numbers that make her a fit, I like her quite a bit. So I think I'm pretty happy with this pick.
Yeah, and the fact that I agree with you completely. The horses that show adversity to win. The pace scenario closes when the pace scenario doesn't heat up in front of them. Obviously, the other way around as well. When the pace scenario heats up, but these speed horses are still able to go against that scenario, I really do like that type of regard. Cheetah Lady is the one to do that with, I think. Maybe a little slow on numbers, but again, that's comparing to Bracelet, who's running 91 with some very nice trips, might I add. And that's with me backing her last time in the Miss Revere and getting shoved in a locker as usual. But I think Cheetah Lady, especially at least underneath, I think is worth a look for sure in your exactas and trifectas, let alone on top like Jackson has. Andrew, you're going with the number 5, Ninth Island. And this is a very interesting pick. And I'm very interested to see why you like this horse. Brett Calhoun, I think it's Isaac Castillo. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
Good. I do that sometimes, so I'm going to wipe the sweat off the brow there. Running some nice races, maybe a little slow, but you're betting that she takes a little bit of a step forward in here.
Yeah, I'm tossing out the Kentucky Downs race because most horses don't run good at Kentucky Downs. I do, however, hate the fact that this horse hasn't had a start in between the two because I always try to fade horses that come off Kentucky Downs first back. But everything screams that this horse wants turf and wants the routing, which is what this race is. And it's going to be forwardly placed. It's been in duels before and held on late, but maybe not have won. Definitely going to need to take a step forward. But I like the switch to Isaac Castillo, who's having almost just as good as a meet as guys like Jose Ortiz, and he's riding B and C level horses for the most part compared to the top guys. So that screams that he knows how to ride this course. You could fade the last time out. The sprinting isn't what this horse really wants. I think this horse wants the 2 turns. And besides the other horses that are obviously going to have a say in the pace scenario, this one gets the blinkers off. Its best races came with blinkers off. Its worst race came with the blinkers on. So obviously the equipment change is the right way to go. And at 12-1, I mean, I think Bracelet might be the horse to beat and should probably be the best horse in this field and probably is the most likely winner. But there's a lot of question marks with that one too. So you might as well try to take a horse that is going to go to the front, has the positive equipment change, and gets a jockey that's riding pretty hot lately. So, I mean, everything screams 10-1 or more and might be a horse that, lights up the tote board in a late sequence, which is pretty wide open in every race.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Obviously, like you mentioned many times, definitely needs to take a step forward on numbers. But again, if pace scenario doesn't shake out to what you think, you brought up a ton of very good angles on this horse, and 12-1's much good enough to price to take a shot on. So Ninth Island, I know, good English. Thanks for laughing, Andrew. I appreciate that one. Will definitely be one to take to keep an eye on, especially going that route of ground. Unmerited favorite. Jackson, I'm so happy that you decided to join us for this show because this one has a very strong story between us two. Because when we're talking about that Keeneland race 2 back, Jackson and I were talking. For those that don't remember, Weighted Average was a very fun horse that finished second at Keeneland for me. Was nose to nose with the leader all the way through the stretch and finished behind by a nose. And Jackson's, I was talking about this, was like, what do you think about this horse at Keeneland now after Kentucky Downs? He's like, you think that your hanging piece of crap just lost to unmerited favor like that? And you think he's going to win this race? Come on now. And this horse blows by and wins for fun the next race. I turned to him, he goes, yeah,
Yeah, it happens. It happens.
So this is one that I just thought was funny. I promise that's not why I put this horse on top, by the way. I didn't know Jackson was coming on this show until also Joe Christofek. Joe, thanks so much for doing the show, my friend. I greatly appreciate it. Great job, guys. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas to you and your family, Joe, as well. Thanks so much for hopping on and saying hi. Greatly appreciate it. Unmerited Favor is one of those horses, guys, that, again, with the funny story attached to it, but I really think she's run a lot better than what she's shown in these races. Obviously, Kentucky Downs winning there by a nose over weighted average, the aforementioned, who also came back to run some very nice races to her regard as well. Winning that Keeneland going away, got put in the Jockey Club Oaks, actually ran pretty decent in that race, but top level of the division in that race between Fionn, Laurelin, and others. There's definitely none of those horses in here. And if she continues to take a step forward and the pace does heat up, which in theory it looks like it will, I love her, especially with that Fairgrounds long stretch that's very conducive to this type of closing trip. I'm willing to take Unmerited Favor, at 6-1, I think the number was.
Yeah.
And you're obviously, and there's nothing against Chris Elliott. Chris Elliott, I think, is doing a fantastic job out in Naira riding those types of, B level, C level horses. Getting a huge jockey upgrade back to Jose Ortiz, who the only 2 times that he's ridden her have been the 2 wins of her career. So Jose knows this horse very well, knows when to push that button, has to improve a little bit. And maybe you could argue the distance is a little bit of an issue with her, but I mean, she's run well at this 1.16 before and 1.125 for that matter, down at Keeneland and Ellis Park respectively. So I do really like Unmerited Favor in here. Maybe not a best bet type horse, but I think with the price you're going to get, I picked Jose Ortiz again. I know, funny. That I think Unmerited Favor is definitely worth a look in this race. I know we're running a little long, but I want to talk about 2 more horses in here, being the number 9 Bracelet. We mentioned her a little bit. Jackson, I think just the number one thing is she has gotten a lot of good trips in her past. But she's definitely the horse to beat in here. But I do completely agree with you, though. She will not be 3-1. Like, she'll be something to 5 in this race.
I think so. Off of that 91 buyer against a grade 2 field, and that was a pretty good field. I mean, Lush Lips is a nice horse. Classic Q when she gets the easy lead, but she did in that race is a nice horse. I mean, those are just much better than what she's facing in this spot. And it's not like she's necessarily a need the lead type either. I think given the pace scenario, she'll be fine sitting a length or 2 off of it and getting the jump. So she's way the horse to beat. I just don't know how short of a price I want to take on her.
And that's exactly, we can see we all have her in second. So we all think she can definitely win this race. And I don't feel like that's saying anything controversial by any means, but just with the type of price, and there's a lot of other up and coming horses that we have selected really in here that could vie for that win at a much better price than whatever to 5 that she's going to be on Saturday. Last horse I'll talk about, then we'll move on, is Caviar Breakfast. And this is actually a horse that I mentioned why I don't like the horse I picked last race on top, which was the 7. This horse is really just a 1-number horse. And you could argue that, she ran perfectly fine in that last race, but it was 60-1, coming from dead last, close past tiring horses, and she's ran 77, 79, 75. Now all of a sudden she drops to an 88 in there. Maybe she's just getting better. But that's the type of thing I need to see again, especially with a trip where she passed and she was running really well, but she didn't really pass anyone that, was finishing with her. That passed a lot of other tired horses. So again, just something I need to see again, especially because she's going to be much lower price than 60-1, let alone 7 and 9-1 that she ran before that. So again, just another one of those angles where one more time, if she runs well again and stuffs me in a locker, so be it. That's just the way the game is sometimes, but willing to wait on Caviar Breakfast, even though I think she can run well as I have her in 3rd. I'm going 6-9-7, always bet the 6-9. Andrew's going 5-9-6. Jackson's going 3-9-2. Race number 10, guys. And race 11 is an absolute doozy that we'll get to here in a second. Race 10 is a field of 8, maiden special weight, 1.16 on the dirt for 2-year-old fillies, field of 8, morning line favorite being the number 6, Majestical, Jose Ortiz for Peter Urton at 5-2. Second choice, the number 7, Aegis for Paco Lopez and Joe Sharp. Third choice, the number 3, AP's girl. Jose Ortiz, baby. Going with Jose Ortiz in this race. We're all going Majestical. Andrew, I don't think that's a very fun pick, I guess you could say, but not a very creative one, I guess is the better word to say. But this horse was flying late last time. Unfortunately, it was at Churchill, so he can't show the replay. But going 7 furlongs at Churchill, this horse was absolutely flying late. Now gets a little bit extra added ground, which in theory, Malibu Moon, Good Magic should only help her.
Yeah, this horse should honestly be a winner already, and the fact that he gets to face maidens again, and maidens at this level, which this Miss Maiden special weight's nothing, special. This horse should tower over this field.
We're over the quota now.
Yeah, this horse should tower over this field based off paper alone. But you never know. It's maiden special weights. Who knows? But if I was finding a single in this sequence, I think this might be the one.
I mean, with the races that are a lot more wide open than this, Jackson, obviously shorter field as well also helps that. This could just be one also that a lot of people land on in terms of ticket construction.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not super proud of this pick. I'm not a super bullish on her. I'm more really against the race that the 7 and the 8 are coming out of. The quick kick race that she came back on Saturday, actually had a really easy lead and didn't hit the board. So I just wasn't quite sure what to do with everyone else coming out of there. So I was a little suspect of that number. The 6 ran fine first time out. That race really collapsed, but it wasn't like they flew on the front end either. So I don't want to be too harsh on her for making up all the ground and running well in that spot. Horses from this barn are almost always going to improve second time out. And I do think this horse has always wanted to go the 2 turn. So I have her on top of a little reluctantly.
Yeah, well, reluctantly because I know how much picking a favorite really hurts your soul. Trust me. But obviously, Peter, no, that's a really good point that you brought up. Obviously, being the West Coast specialty now that we have on this podcast, you guys obviously run your own West Coast show on Tuesday nights. So, but Peter Urton, obviously, you said not the best first time out guy, but second time out is the big improvement, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, and obviously first time LASIK, CRK, lots of good things to like about Majestical in this spot. We'll go quickly through underneath here, guys. Andrew, we have the same top 3. The number 3 AP's Girl, you have in third, I have in second. I'm going with the Peter Urton Exacta. Turf the Dirt
too.
And CRK Exacta too. We might be, shout out to CRK, we might be rich if we start running with this, but Turf the Dirt is a very interesting number for this horse, or interesting angle, for this horse. Deep closer. Again, it's kind of just a thing of I don't really like a lot of others, and I completely agree with Jackson that I don't like the 7s race last time. So trying to find others, AP Girl seems like the number 1 horse to go. However, it could just be one of those things of we really thought this horse was turf meant, so let's just try her on the dirt and see what happens.
Yeah, see, the thing is, though, this horse has no turf breeding. So I don't understand why they tried so long for this horse on turf, especially with the dirt. The dirt workouts are pretty good. So I think that this is actually a favorable spot. And if Urton didn't also have the 6, I probably would end up putting this 3 on top. There's also just so many question marks with this horse. Who knows if this horse is even a runner in general? But I think the switch to dirt, and it's the last try before its 3-year-old season to try to get a win under its belt as a 2-year-old. So it's a favorable spot. Why not use it underneath?
No, absolutely. And obviously I showed the dam side March Express. This horse is a half the Fort Bragg. So obviously this horse should have breeding to run on the dirt. March Express, by the way, was a decent turf runner. So maybe a little bit of turf breeding, but talking about sibling PPs looks to be much, much better on the dirt. And you're getting first time LASIKs now here first time outside of Kentucky for AP's Girl. Jackson, we'll talk to you here and then we'll go to the next race, which to be completely honest, we won't spend too much time on because, oh my gosh. Number 1 lit up for Brett Calhoun. Colby Hernandez rides here, finished 10 3/4 behind Pashmina, who didn't run necessarily bad last weekend to my dismay, but got a 73 buyer last time out. Improves anywhere near that. This horse could be a winner.
Yeah, I like both of her races so far. She kind of just ran evenly on the grass first time out sprinting, and then you would expect her to run better 2 turns. And she did. She took a step forward, was clearly second best in there. And if she takes another step forward and start number 3, then she could be competitive against this group as well, because it's not like that number she ran is really that different than the 6 or the 7 or the 8 in the spot.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. And there's a couple other horses. You have Honor Society coming from Remington Park, looks a little slow. Lady Law, Jackson, you have in third. Another one that first time Lady Six gets Axel back aboard, second off the layoff. A couple good things to like. It's just a very tough race. And obviously, Aegis, who Joe Sharp, Paco Lopez. But again, I'm just with Jackson on here. I want to see that even though it got a better buyer than the 6, I'd much prefer the 6 effort to the 7, especially when you look at the other horses that came back after that. Quick Kiss came back. Jackson mentioned got a very easy lead. Fairgrounds has been very quick. Going 45-2 is still not a red-coated figure. Granted, the figures aren't in yet because she did just run 2 days ago, but very easy. Didn't run well. So interested to see how she comes back and runs on Saturday in the penultimate leg of the late pick 5. I'm going 6-3-7. Andrew's going 6-7-3. Jackson's going 6-1-4. You got to do it every time. There's no reason why you hear it, you got to do it. In the last race, guys, race 11, we've been hinting at it for a while. This is basically everybody's favorite time of the day, just down south at Fairgrounds rather than the 10,000 Tapeta claimer at Gulfstream. Instead, it's a $10,000 maiden claimer at the Fairgrounds with going 6 furlongs on the dirt for 2-year-old Louisiana breds. And guys, it's just super tough. 10 horses in here. Lukewarm favorite, 7-2 on the number 6 Pardoned, which Jackson, you and I both have the same horse. I'm very surprised that our horse is not the morning line favorite. Obviously we do all our handicap, or at least I do all my handicapping without the morning lines. I know a lot of people do on this podcast as well. We are 4-1 on the morning line, Jackson. The number 7 Bellastone Country, is 9-2 on the morning line, the third choice. Andrew, you get to go first, though, my friend. You get to tell us why we're wrong. Going with the horse I just mentioned, the number 7 Bellastone Country.
Well, first off, I'm completely fading your top pick. Both of your top picks. I hate the 8 horse here. But I'm going with the first time starter. I'm a sucker for first time starters in really bad maiden claiming races. As a guy that came up at parks and whatnot, these are my specialty type of races, in my opinion. There's a lot of cheap horses at parks, and this one has a lot of cheap horses in it too. This is, like I was saying before the show started, this is a Delta Downs race drawn at Fairgrounds. And there's nothing on here that stands out, but I do like the 7 just based off of the connections. Bourgeois, I guess is how you would say his last name, because I know it's Cajun down there and whatnot, so they all have a little bit of a little spice on their last names.
Cajun, whatever.
Yeah, this horse is not working great. I mean, it does have a bullet workout back in October. Seems like it might have some speed, has okay gate drills for this level, but the trainer's first time starter, he's 20%. I mean, it's a small number, but a really good positive ROI. And the jockey's coming up from Delta. And when he rides for this trainer, I mean, they're 24% this year. The numbers scream that this horse might be live. 9-2 morning line. I mean, I probably would make it probably like 5 or 6-1. So it's not much farther off. I think the 8's going to take a ton of money, and why not take a shot with a first time starter?
No, and trust me, if there's anyone go ahead, Jackson.
I need to hear why he hates the 8. You can't just say I hate the 8 and not say why. Come on. Give me
okay, I can get into that. It just, the debut was very poor, and then they gelded it. Granted, I don't think it's good. I don't think they gelded it the very next day, but that's when it was reported. And the workouts since then have not shown any improvement. So to drop it to 10,000 for connections like this screams they're just dumping the horse, and they just want to get rid of it before the end of the year.
Yeah, I was gonna say, man, you run one bad race, and the very next day, you don't even wait a week. The very next
literally
day,
the very next day,
ultimate equipment change right away.
And then they work the horse like 8 days after the equipment change. Works good, and then just goes back to working duds. And I'm just like, now they drop it to 10,000. I don't know.
No,
I'll tell you what. Go ahead.
No, yeah, fair points. I think I'm more just banking on the fact that of the horses that I've run, basically none of them have shown any speed. And when you
Yeah.
get down to this level, I just don't think anybody wants to pass anybody. And if this horse is going to be in front, then yeah, give me. I'm going to take a swing at it too. I mean, he's dropping very low. That's really all it is.
No,
He's
I agree with that angle. Yeah.
You want to talk about this is right up your alley, Andrew. This is the Larry Ravelli drop from special weight to claiming in like 10,000. This is the quintessential Arlington angle. Here he would do this all the time, except they didn't run 10,000s at Arlington. They ran 6250s made in claiming.
Perfect.
So I remember one of them. The horse's name was Baseball Politics. Horse ran not that bad on debut. Ran like 5th or whatever at a maiden special weight. Dropped him down to 6250. There was, I believe, 42 claims on that horse in the box after the race. And the horse had actually ended up winning a couple races after that. But 31% you saw on the screen from maiden special weight to maiden claiming. First time gelding. I do agree with you, Andrew. This screams of that type of angle. My problem is one, I completely agree with Jackson's angle at this type of level. A lot of horses I don't trust horses to pass very well. And if this horse is just going to go and gun and whatever, try and get it done with, I'd much prefer to take this horse, even though I think the horse will be a very short price. Plus, also, a lot of horses came back to win that next race. Dickie T, where the hits are, 6-7, 6-7, doubles. Dude, I don't know what other.
That's the signs, bro.
I don't know what other sign you need than that. But basically, the whole thing is with the Larry Ravelli angle, 31%. And the fact that a lot of horses came back to win after that, and coupled with the class, I just think the 8 is most likely the winner here in this last leg. But again, there's so many different things you could go in here. I really want to talk about a couple others, guys. Then we're going to best bets. I know we're also running long here, but we do appreciate all of you guys watching. The number 6 Pardoned for Tom Amos, who you and I both have in second. Andrew Jackson has in third. Again, first time trainer switch to Tom Amos. Rhea hops aboard this one. A bug should be very aggressive in here, which is kind of the reason why I wanted to have this horse somewhere in the mix.
Yeah, I mean, this horse doesn't scream anything special, but the claim that it's not the claim, like, because obviously it was just a switch of, I guess they privately purchased this horse, or something. I don't know, because they bred this horse too, so I don't know why this horse was at Prairie Meadows to begin with. But to drop it here and then, has some good workouts at Fairgrounds. I mean, this horse screams ready to run. I just don't know why they go to the bug. There's just a lot of question marks. I don't know. Nothing I can really write home about, but based off performance alone, this horse should be able to take a step forward. And if the 8 doesn't hold on late, this was the horse that's probably going to be running late.
Realistically, Andrew, there's no way to put it. You're kind of splitting hairs trying to separate a lot of these horses in here. Try to do our best, but there's one race with a 28 buyer. There's the 0 buyer angle that could be one of them. Obviously, there's just not a whole lot to go off of, guys. I mean, just to be completely frank with you, the other horse I want to talk about, Jackson, is the number 2 who you have in second. Sophia Vives hops aboard in here. Another first time starter. For a smaller barn.
My only angle is fresh face in a bad race, and that's really it.
Basically the same thing I did with the 7. It's just like fresh face, bad race.
Yeah.
Also why I went with the 10 too. So
roll for a mage. Just just throw it out there and hope it is the last. I think the 8 is going to be a very heavy price in this race. They got 4-1 the morning line. I wouldn't be surprised if this horse is, again, something to 5 somewhere in that regard. In the last race of the Late Pick5 at Fairgrounds, I'm going 8-6-5. Andrew's going 7-6-10. Jackson's going 8-2-6. Again, everyone, we use DRF formula, DRF Timeform USPPs. Very, very good tool if you guys are getting into handicapping, or if you guys are a very seasoned handicapper. And I would recommend it before we were sponsored. Now we are. Again, DRF really, really does. A DRF formula really does elevate your handicapping. So go to drf.com to check that out. And of course, a new show coming tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Eastern, Wire to Wire, sponsored by First Racing. Again, 7 p.m. Eastern. It'll be me, Noah and Howard going over the Coast to Coast Late Pick 5 for this week. So again, if that interests you, please tune in tomorrow. Jackson, I'll give you a co-host fail on this one. You didn't give me a best bet. However, you did mention you have a couple very good opinions in the sequence that started out with, I believe, race 8, if I'm not mistaken, with South Bend Tom.
Yeah, that we'll call that one my best bet. Race 8, number 1, South Bend Tom. Just doesn't seem like it's a very strong group and it's kind of a murky pace scenario. And if that last race is to be believed, then I think he's clearly the horse to beat. I mean, as we mentioned, the 3 runbacks out of there have all improved by at least 5 points. If he runs to the improved number of 5 more points, he's going to win that race. If he repeats his most recent effort, he's going to be right there as well. So I think if he works out a trip from inside post, he's speedy enough to do so. I think 4-1, 9-2-ish, that kind of range is more than fair. So he'll be my best bet.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Again, in a race that seems pretty wide open, trying to catapult off the last race, off that long layoff, I definitely do like the bet. Jackson, good luck with your best bet. Andrew, going to you next, my friend. You have 2 horses that you're very interested in. One that I'm also very interested in, a little bit of a, I guess, preview, if you will. A win on number 9, Savion. And a race 9, you talked about your long shot, basically of the entire day, with the number 5, 9th Island, again, in race number 9.
Yeah, I mean, Savion, it should be really tough in this spot, in my opinion. I really like the price. I don't think we're going to get 8-1, sadly. I think we'll probably get more like 4-1. But the price I really like is obviously 9th Island. I'm just really hoping this horse is close to the speed, if not on it, and Isaac Castillo just gets this horse home. 12-1 would be probably short, in my opinion. I think this horse is probably going to be closer to 20-1, if anything. So I'm hoping we get a long shot price and my best bet, and hopefully both hit. And maybe I'll just use Jackson's horse in the 8th race and just do a cold pick 3. Who knows?
Yeah.
But
There we go.
Maybe I'll just do the best bets on the day. But yeah, take a couple shots here and see where they land.
Yeah, look, man, like I said, it's a very tough sequence, trying to find some prices. Definitely one card that could initiate some prices. One guy I want to give a shout out quick before I give my best bet and end the show. Mark Bogas, a guy that's been in the chat for a long time. I meant to bring up this comment twice, and I completely forgot about it. He said, love the work you guys put into these races. Reminds me of the good old days at Arlington Hawthorne Sportsman Park. A man after my own heart with the Arlington and Hawthorne call out. Mark, thanks so much for doing the show. Greatly appreciate it. Has been working lots, but always listening and recruiting listeners. Mark, we could not appreciate that more. 2 best bets. You know my speed, guys. Doubles or win bets. It's really all I go to. And actually, 2 very early win bets for me. And realistically, what I like to play, I talked about the number 3, Juris Doctor, Mike Stidham, Axel Concepcion coming off that last race at Fairgrounds, closing into a cold pace. But has been closer in his previous races. I really do like Juris Doctor, and that's probably my best bet of the entire day, barring that he can continue to improve off that 82 buyer. And if he does, he could be very, very tough in there at a nice price, somewhere between 5-2 and 7-2. And at race 7, Andrew already hit on it. Race number win on the number 9, Savion. Really think that he can get a really nice trip in there with a lot of pace in front of him that he lacked last time out that he ran. Should get, if he gets a good setup from the outside, hopefully sits 2 wide around that first turn, and we can be sitting pretty. And hopefully when Jackson wins with South Bend Tom and Andrew wins with 9th Island, we're going to have a fantastic podcast, and we're going to Sizzler. But everyone, thank you guys all so much for joining. Everyone in the chat, Jackson, of course, thanks for filling in for Pat. Graciously appreciate it. Andrew, of course, thanks for always being here. And thank you guys to always being here, of course, during this holiday week. Of course, Merry Christmas to you if you celebrate, and if you don't, happy holidays to whatever you celebrate. From our family to yours, we cannot be more appreciative of you guys watching the HHH Racing Podcast every single day that it's live, because if we did not have you guys, there would be no HHH Racing Podcast, and we've grown a lot over the last couple of years. And again, that's all thanks to you guys. But for my co-hosts, Andrew Zinski and Jackson Muniz, this has been your host, Kyle Roscoe, in episode 161 of Bettin and Boozin here on the HHH Racing Podcast, covering Fairgrounds December 27th and their Late Pick 5 for that day, sponsored by TwinSpires. And until next time, everybody, crush those bets, win those photos, and stay safe, everyone. We'll see you in the next one. Have a good night.